In chapter 22 of Mesilat Yesharim, he says the following. He says, first of all, what are the reasons why a person should never be proud of the Torah that he actually has? Meaning, let's say the guy toiled. He has books, he learned them. He has the Gemara, he learned it. He has the Chumash, he learned it. He's learning. After he learns, and he learns, and he learns, and he's continued to learn, and he learned a lot. Mesilat Yesharim says, you still have no reason to be arrogant about it, prideful about it, or even think you're better than anybody else in the world. Why? He says, first of all, even the finest mind is imperfect and prone to error. Even the most accomplished sage makes mistakes. In so many words, the Ramchal tells us, it is humanly impossible for you to not make a mistake. Meaning that as smart as you are, even if you become the Gdol Ador, you become something special, as smart as you are, it's impossible for you not to make a mistake at some point. In fact, the Gemara in Masechet Chagigah, in page 14a, says that the only way that a person becomes wise and actually can stand up on his Torah is after he falls. But not falls and makes a mistake and, let's say, violate Shabbat because he didn't know this halakha, or he made a mistake in halakha because he didn't learn. No, he learned, but he learned incorrectly. If the person makes a mistake in halakha and eats something that's not kosher because he thought it's kosher, or he does something on Shabbat that's not allowed because he thought it's allowed, if that mistake is made because he didn't learn, no, that's not falling. That's just you already failed before you started. But he learned, but he made a mistake. Misjudged. It's said aloud, but he misread. It's really not allowed. It's like, for example, today I got some guy send me a message. I haven't responded yet. And he sends me a whole Megillah about one of my students in Montreal is bothering him. Why is he bothering him? Because he says, why don't you watch the Shurim from Rabbi Yaron? He's talking about wigs. Why don't you listen to it? It's not allowed. It's not allowed. It's not allowed for Sfaradim. It's not allowed for Sfaradim. First of all, that's not my focus. The whole debate between Sfaradim, Ashkenazim, 400 years already, I don't have shoes big enough and shoulders big enough to get myself and throw my name into that debate. That whole world is completely different. That's not the whole thing. The issue with wigs that I only mentioned is the issue with Avodah Zarah because of real hair wigs coming from India. But the reality is, even a woman called me earlier this week, or left me a message earlier this week. I sent her a 10-minute personal shiur to explain to her that despite whatever she decides to do, it doesn't matter to me. She can come to the shiurim. I'd be more than happy. I have quite a few students that have wigs and don't have wigs. It doesn't make a difference to me. I simply educate. I don't judge people. I'm not a judge. I'm not a jury. I simply provide information. You want to listen, listen. You don't want to listen, don't listen. It doesn't make a difference to me. I love everybody the same way. People think that, like, if I see somebody with a wig, or if I see somebody that's driving on Shabbat, like, I become a terrorist. Like, I start, shooting them, taking his Uzi out. What do you think? I'm Rambo? I'm providing information, Ribono Shel Olam. Providing information. You want to do it, do it. You don't want to do it, that's it. I did my job. I did my job. I don't judge. I know nothing. You know how many students I have that still wear wigs? Shtabach Shimo, they're fantastic people. Amazing people. I don't judge nothing. I want them to be careful. I want them to make sure that everything's okay. Double check, at least make sure that you know where it came from. You did your search. You're okay with it? Baruch Hashem. You're not okay with it? Okay, so double check. Double check. It says kosher, but the kosher kind of looks like it came from China. Okay, so check. Why is there only one kosher body in the entire wig world, but in the kosher world of food, there's like 1,000? You have to ask these questions. So ask. Da-da-da. You verified, your rabbi said it's okay, no problem. No problem. On the other hand, if somebody drives on Shabbat, I see him, I know he's driving on Shabbat. I'm not going to invite him to my house on Shabbat, because I don't want him to drive on my expense. I don't want to be the reason for him to drive, but if he comes to the shiur, I'll give him a hug just like everybody else. The point is, Rabotai, people take things and they feel like they're attacked for the wrong reason. Why? Because you asked the question. You ask the question, they think they're attacking you. I spoke to a woman today. Apparently, there's not much help here in Florida for people that are needy. So someone told me there's an organization that helps people that are needy. So I called them because I happen to know a few people that are needy, and I get to know a lot of people. So if anyone that's needy, I need to know who to go to, who helps. So I called the woman and said, yeah, we provide food, we do this, we do that, we do that. Okay, great. Okay, can you tell me what's the, when do you give it? Okay, we give it on this day. Okay, can you tell me what time? Okay, we give it on this day. What's the requirement? Okay, we do this. Okay, fine. What's the kashrut? What's the kashrut of the food? It's kosher. I said, okay, I understand it's kosher. That's why I'm calling you. I'm a rabbi, not a priest. If I was a priest, I'd go to McDonald's. It's easier than you. I'll buy the food from McDonald's. $1, you can buy a burger, feed 10 people. But it's kosher food. It's more expensive, so I need to know what's the kashrut. It's kosher, sir. It's kosher. Okay, sir. What kind of kosher? Is it ORB? Is it kosher Miami? Is it kosher India? Is it kosher Zimbabwe? What kind of kosher is it, though? Sir, if they're hungry, they'll eat. I said, I'm sorry. If you were serving goyim, that would be okay response. If they're hungry, they'll eat. You're right. But in the Jewish world, if you're going to serve the Jewish people, some people are makpidim, they're more stringent on kashrut than others. They will accept this one, but not that one. So I don't want to send the guy to you, and he doesn't accept your kashrut. Why waste his time? Why waste your time? Why insult people? Point is, what's the big deal? If you're giving this food out anyway, for a long time, what's the big deal to just look at the label, Ribono Shel Olam? Okay, I'll get back to you. She never got back to me. Oh, at some point she told me I'm being very aggressive. Why? Because I asked, what's the kashrut? People don't like to be asked questions. Now I don't even know if I want to recommend it. Maybe it is kosher India. Who knows? Kosher Zimbabwe. It's coming with a bone from one of the bodies they find. Who knows? Why? What's so hard to look at the label? That's the thing, Rabotai. Sometimes people do mitzvot for the wrong reason. And they do not understand why they're doing what they're doing. If you're going to teach with the intention to help people, not to insult people, not to, hurt people in any way, not to offend them, not to win a debate, like some of these clowns on the internet that like to debate people just for the sake of showing that they won. The point of teaching is to provide people information and let them make educated decisions based on this information. If they like it, ishtabach shimo. If they don't, Bezat Hashem, try something else. Try something else. What's the big deal? Every one of us has a laundry list. A laundry list of things to fix. I always tell you, I'm the biggest one. The shiur is for me. You happen to be here. Everyone has a laundry list. Okay, she doesn't want to change this, so she'll change that. He doesn't want to change that, so he'll change this. You'll find something in the shiur. But sometimes people feel attacked. Why? Because you mentioned the one thing that really in Shamayim, that's what he has to change. So in this particular issue, this guy sends me a message, and he says, your student in Montreal is attacking me and hounding me because he keeps telling me that wigs are not allowed. And I asked my rabbi, and the rabbi says it's okay. And I asked another rabbi, and the other rabbi said it's okay. And then I called Yerushalayim, and I called my other rabbi, and he says that Rabbi Tzion Abba Shaul says it's okay. So why? Are you bigger than Rabbi Tzion Abba Shaul? Rabbi Tzion Abba Shaul was the Chavruta of Rav Ovadia. Now, first of all, you're being very aggressive. I should tell him. But that's not really going to help him. But in reality, there's a problem with the whole question. Number one, his attitude's awful. Why are you comparing me to Gadol Adol? If I'm an ant, I'm still not enough. What's the comparison? What's the comparison? Two, did you actually read what Rav Tzion Abba Shaul said? Or did you just assume that what the rabbi said is correct? Because now, if you really believe it's allowed or not allowed is on the line, and you relied on an answer that someone said to you, that means that you are in essence saying it's either allowed, I'm going to heaven, or it's not allowed, I'm going to Gehenom. That's your decision here. That's what happens in the world. That's how Torah works. It's not allowed, I'm going to Gan Eden, not allowed, I'm still going to Gan Eden, because it's just a discount version. There's a big difference. Did you check? No, he didn't check. How do I know he didn't check? I haven't responded to him. How do I know he didn't check? Because Rav Tzion Abashol never said that. I know his Talmid that helped him write that book. Rav Gidon ben Moshe. He helped him write that book, and that answer. What he was talking about when it comes to wigs for Sfaradim, we're not talking about Avodah Zarah. We're talking about just the wigs for Sfaradim versus Ashkenazim. When it comes to the modesty issue, all that stuff, that's the Ashkenazim have an heter, the Sfaradim do not. But some people thinking that Rav Tzion Abashol says it's allowed. Why? Because they read the answer incorrectly. If you double check with the co-author of Gidon ben Moshe, he says to you, what did he say? No, if you look at what happened before it, what is he talking about? He's talking about, can a person say Kriyat Shema, let's say he's praying in his house, can he say Kriyat Shema next to a woman that's immodest? No. Can he say Kriyat Shema next to his wife if she has a wig on instead of a kisur rosh that she wears regularly? And he says yes. It's his wife, it's in the house, he's allowed to do Kriyat Shema. Meaning, if she's wearing a wig in the house, she's Faradi, but she wears a wig in the house, no problem, that's allowed. He never said go wear a wig in the streets, but that's the problem. People just, they assume that someone read it, they don't double check, and what happens there? They don't get to the bottom line. They don't get to the bottom line. Why? Because people are either spiritually lazy, or extraordinarily arrogant, or simply do not want to change. Simply don't want to change. But the problem is, Rabotai, is that if you don't want to change, no amount of Torah is going to help you. Doesn't matter how many Masechtot you read. Doesn't matter how many shiurim you watch. There's some people that have been watching my shiurim for 2-3 years. Ishtabach Shemo La'ad, they became angels. Honestly, I ask him to give me brachot once in a while. Bemet, I ask him brachot. So you get tzaddikim, give me bracha. I don't know how people do so. They go to tests like it's a walk in the park. So give me bracha. Some people watch shiurim for a couple of years. Nothing happened. Not often, but it happens. Sometimes you see people, they watch all the shiurim, but nothing happens. Why? Because in reality, the way that the two people were studying differently. One was watching the shiurim with an intention to apply what he learns. The other one was watching it for entertainment and mental stimulation purposes only. He liked the way I sound. He likes some of the funny things I say once in a blue moon. He likes the little action when I do my little dance here. That's what he likes. He likes that. He thinks I'm funny. He thinks I'm this. He thinks I'm that. That's what he likes. But as far as changing his life, nothing. 2 years, still married to the Goya. 3 years, he's still driving on Shabbat. Nothing changed. It's not common because some of the things I say are relatively hard for people to hear on a regular basis, which requires a person to change or to simply stop watching. But the point is that it does happen. Why? Because some people simply do not want to change. And that's what we learned from the Chazon Ish last week. That the most important midah, the most important character trait of a human being is the desire to change. If you have the desire to change, automatically all of your character traits improve. You're less angry than you would be if you didn't have a desire to change. You're less stingy than if you didn't have a desire to change, and so on and so forth.